Move your feet, lose your seat on this wonderful Saturday edition of One on One. Luis Andrade, Will Jing, Madi Dembele. It's the three, along with Bobby Chaffordini behind the boards. And it's been a great show so far. So let's keep it going. Let's continue with the hoops. And we're going to open up the conversation not just to Big East talk, but just to tournament talk in general. ACC play. We know how the Blue Bloods get down, and it's going to be Duke that beats out UNC in the ACC tournament semifinal. Shout out to RJ Davis, but he is not enough to overcome a Duke squad. Get this, without one Cooper Flagg, Duke did not wave the white flag. See what I did there, as they're able to get it done. But impressions from the game, what do we like about it?
I like that the Duke still managed to rally after losing their best player and managed to beat UNC out. And it kind of shows that I feel like they'll still be a really good team to look out in the tournament coming up. And they have a good chance of beating Louisville coming tonight at 8:30. And I feel like even though it's a massive loss, Cooper Flagg, it's a question mark on when he will return or not, they can still go really far.
I think UNC is a good team, but I think that Duke only winning by 3 in the absence of Cooper Flagg, I think that is I guess it's kind of like, what's the phrase I'm looking for? Like, it's almost like a flashing light. It's like, all right, something's going on here, and you gotta take a look, because if they're really gonna only win by 3 without Cooper Flagg, is that going to fly against Louisville if they don't really step it up tonight? Or is it tonight? Do they play Louisville tonight? Is that
they do tonight.
It's tonight.
So yeah, again, I just don't know if that's going to fly.
And remember, it was the lane violation that really got UNC away from this game. That was huge. I want to say it was the big man Withers in the middle there.
Yeah, he
kind of
stepped
his foot there. So Duke, by the inch of their teeth, you want to say that they're greater than the sum of the one part that is Cooper Flagg. But if that's the way you're winning basketball teams, Louisville might just have themselves a win. 4.1 seconds left, 72-71 is where the error occurred there. So not too sure how I feel about that win there for the Duke Blue Devils, but they continue on.
Let me just I just do want to jump in. In the second half, UNC scored 47 points to Duke's 29. That's what I'm saying. Also a flashing light to be
they were missing Malik Brown as well. He redislocated his shoulder.
So if that, I mean, the Johnnies have a way to carry some good momentum into tonight.
Yeah.
Duke, yes, they won. I don't know. I don't think they really want to continue that
kind of momentum. Exactly. And again, Cooper Flagg is out. I don't think he's playing in the ACC title game. I mean, like, I'm trying to search for some injury
Cooper Flagg
updates.
is not.
He's not. He is not. So it is a definite that Cooper Flagg is not playing in the ACC. So it certainly hurts Duke. But does it hurt his draft stock? Where do we like Cooper Flagg? Will Jing, we had a lot of conversation before this, and you've actually had, I wouldn't say maybe necessarily spicy, but you've had some takes about Cooper Flagg. I don't know if you want to air them on air.
Yeah. I think that, listen, Cooper Flagg is going, should he declare for the draft, he's going to be the number 1 pick. I can guarantee you that much.
Yeah.
Now, I don't think he's going to be, I don't think long-term he's the best player in this draft. He may be that in the moment. I think he's one of those players that he's going to turn out. I mean, Bobby compared him to Christian Laettner, was it?
Yeah.
I think he's going to be a good player. I don't think he's great at any one specific thing. I think that he's going to be a good player. He's going to be a very solid, maybe, like a starter that gives you some extra boost. He's going to have his great game here and there.
Yeah.
Maybe he'll be a 6th man. But I don't see him being a superstar. I don't see him with that skill that makes me go, wow, this guy is going to be great. He doesn't give me that it factor. I also think that sometimes in certain games, he just it feels like everybody else is getting going more than him, and it's not one of those things where it's like he's a centerpiece and the defense is so focused on him that opportunities.
Really, I always felt like
I've always felt like, and I think this opinion might be starting to change. Originally, I thought that Liam McNeely, his Montverde teammate, would end up being a more impactful NBA player than he would, just off of watching the way they played in high school. Now, maybe he continues to play really well at Duke, so I don't know how much I still believe in that take. I'm not fully against that take either, even now. But I just don't see Cooper Flagg as being a superstar beyond college.
Variety is the spice of life, and what I noticed about Cooper, which I really, really liked, is when the offense is not going for him, he's doing something else, like the rebounding, the defense. I do feel that I have to disagree with the point that it doesn't feel like he's a centerpiece. To me, it does feel like he's a centerpiece, and teams are like zeroed in on him, and his gravity.
His injury just proved that he is the centerpiece.
Exactly, the left ankle sprain there. But I get what you're coming with, Will. There's not one skill that pops out to me, but I'm not too worried about that, particularly from an 18-year-old kid who's not drafted yet. There's a lot of guys who don't. Like, I remember one example, another Duke guy, R.J. Barrett. Like, R.J. Barrett, I remember coming out of Duke, there wasn't one skill where I looked at and he was like, that's going to be his, like, bread and butter when he gets to the league. And he's kind of made his way throughout the NBA, and he's playing better basketball with the Raptors than he is with the Knicks, but still, he's a guy who doesn't have that one discernible skill. Who's supposed to be the defense with RJ, maybe a little bit of the passing, big-time point forward who could defend, but it's still not there. So with Cooper Flagg, he has time to develop.
I like that comparison, actually. I think, I kind of felt the same way about RJ Barrett that I feel about Cooper Flagg. I think Cooper Flagg is better than RJ, but I get what you're trying to say.
Yeah.
I think Cooper, not that they're the same, they're different sizes, a little bit of a different style, but I think Cooper Flagg just overall
the circumstance,
overall quality and circumstances, he's very similar. He's better, but you see what RJ has become.
Yeah.
I think Cooper Flagg is going to be that a little bit better.
Yeah, I think Cooper needs to stay one more year in college to develop his game. He's a young guy, 18. He still has like one more step to actually be that true dominant guy. Obviously, he's gonna go number one if he declares. It's for him. It's you take the money, or do you want to be the better player? And it's really up to him in that scenario.
Do you have that same sentiment for the other guys in the draft? Would you say they need to stay another year in college? Because I don't think Ace Bailey, Dylan Harper is the one like pro style ready to go right now. He looks to me like Cade Cunningham. That's the guy. Like, he's patient. He plays at his own pace. He has this smooth veneer and poise to him. He's the smartest, just as Bobby Chaffardini said. He seems to be the most IQ driven 6'7" point guard. 6'7", like great size, like lanky, long. I'm worried about the jump shot, whether or not it will translate, but that's usually a thing with young guys. But he's the one guy. I wouldn't say the same thing about Ace. VJ Edgecombe is another guy you said. I don't know if it's just Cooper who would have to stay in that instance, because I think he's better than those guys.
I think all of them. Listen, if I'm all of them, you go to league right now, right?
Of course, money.
No, not just yes, the money.
Okay.
But I also think that, I think it's just better for their career to go right now. I don't think that staying another year in college is necessarily going to make a big difference. There's some players that you can see that for. I don't really see that for any of these guys. Even VJ, who, I said this earlier as well, I think his biggest issue is offensive consistency, and just kind of being that guy consistently, like a star player consistently. He, unlike Cooper Flagg, he has that one skill that I go, that's that skill, but he doesn't have the consistency to make him an immediate impact player in the NBA. But even for him, I would say staying another year at Baylor is not going to do anything for you. Go to the NBA. I think he'll end up being somebody where, with better coaching, better teammates, I think he'll also be able to learn that way. And I think it goes the same for all these players.
And we got a little bit more perspective from beyond the board. Bobby Chaffardini is going to jump into this conversation. Bobby, good to hear from you as always. I know you're right there, but we always love to hear your voice.
You gotta talk to the other mic, Bobby.
We
The
cannot
one on your left.
very
Yeah.
well.
Yeah, not very well. I think it's going to be the other one. Let's see if we got you.
Okay, how about
There
now?
we
There
go.
we go.
There he is. But
Pulled in the wrong mic. A rookie move behind the glass.
there we are, Bobby.
I think I was just going to clarify, too, with Will, with my comments before the show. Cooper Flagg, to me, I make the reference to Christian Laettner. Now, I know that's going to be a reference for some of you that were not alive at that point, but when Laettner was at Duke, he was all-world, best player in the game, and expectation was that he was going to be a superstar NBA player. He ends up on the Dream Team, the only college player at that time to do so, and then when he makes the NBA, that game never fully translates. And he was a player very similar to Cooper in the sense that maybe he did a lot of things really well, but not one particular thing, and still had a very good NBA career, but didn't have the same type of career in the NBA that he had at the college level. So it'll be interesting. I think it is definitely a good thing to point out that you do have some other athletes at that collegiate level that might not be putting up the same numbers, but maybe their athleticism over time will translate better to the NBA. That's why I think someone like Ace Bailey might actually be a better NBA player than maybe someone like Cooper Flagg. But it remains to be seen. I mean, I feel like something that Will and I were talking about, when you talk about the NBA, the NFL, even, of course, Major League Baseball, where it's so hard to even make the pros, it's just such a crapshoot when it comes to thinking about how players are going to project. Sometimes it does seem like a slam dunk, but if you would have said to someone when you were watching Steph Curry at Davidson, who, of course, was terrific in the tournament, that he would go on to be the greatest shooter of all time, maybe the greatest point guard of all time. I don't know if anybody at that time, despite him being so good at the college level, would have said this is the greatest point guard / shooter of all time. If that was the case, I'm sure there would have been a lot of teams that would have taken him higher in the NBA draft.
Yeah, Bobby, I absolutely agree with you there. And we've been throwing out a lot of names in relation to Cooper Flagg. Like, what does he look like? Who does he mimic? I said R.J. Barrett because of the circumstance. But I think at worst it ends up a situation like J.J. Redick, right? J.J. Redick was ACC all-time leading shooter percentages, and he was still a good NBA player, especially at the level higher than, like, Christian Laettner. I think his career panned out better than Christian's. I think that's what Cooper's career will look like. Like, he's going to be an all-time great college basketball player, and he'll be like a consummate starter, very good starter for a lot of teams that make deep postseason runs. I think that's the worst that could happen for this kid, to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, I could see him being somebody that comes off the bench as well. I think he could be
Bench piece.
Yeah, like a bench piece. Not like the throwaway bench warmer, but he'll be the guy that, he gets, 13, 14 minutes a game. I could see that being that could be something that happens to him. Makes an impact, grabs some boards and stuff. You can rely on him for the stuff that he's at least decent at, right?
You're not going to draft a guy in the top 5 with the hopes that they become a sixth man or even play 15 minutes a night. I mean, that's more of a second round pick, not a lottery pick, let alone what is supposed to be a franchise player. I mean, he's viewed at the moment, doesn't mean he will be, but he's viewed at the moment as a franchise player.
Oh, I'm not saying that's what they want from him. I'm just saying that's what might end up being the case. That's probably one of the worst
case scenario.
The worst case scenario I could see with him.
I don't see that floor for him. I just don't.
Me neither.
I just think a floor is just.
I think like a decent starter is the floor.
I think a decent starter is the floor. I think it's like a J.J. Redick. So again, more players that we're throwing out to compare to. It may confuse them.
I mean, their game is not similar at all, but I'm thinking like a Jamal Crawford.
Yeah. Maybe even
I don't know. I like Jamal Crawford a lot. He was even though he was a sixth man for most of his career, he still played great, and he could have been a starter in any other team.
Yeah, he started for the Clippers.
Started for the Knicks.
Yeah, speaking of JJ Redick, him and JJ Redick were kind of alternating who was starting. I think JJ started a little bit more, considering you had Chris Paul on that team and who was more ball dominant, obviously, and you wanted Jamal Crawford coming off the bench. But Jamal Crawford, I mean, 6-man starter.
Ace Bailey, another name we talked about. I want to get into this because, again, I think the one guy who's ready is Dylan Harper, but Ace Bailey, he's grown on me. Like, his game looked to me initially, and thank you again to Bobby Chaffardini for hopping on the mic. Love the perspective. Ace Bailey can't dribble with his left hand. He looked to me like Jabari Smith Jr., like a tall, lanky guy who could get his offense from the outside. He puts the ball on the floor, I think, a little bit better, but he's grown on me. I love the archetype. 6 foot, what is it, 10?
Yeah.
He looks a little bit smaller. I know they have that center on that team. I forget his name, but he makes Ace look really, really small. But 6'10", long arms, long legs. So he's a prototypical like defender. You can mold him into a defender. He has that build, and he's shown some offensive promise. So I don't know if I like him more than. I think he's the third best. Is he the third best guy in your opinion here?
Honestly, I would say so. Yeah, because you said he's lengthy. He has the ability to score.
But then there's like VJ.
I think Ace Bailey's better than VJ Edgecombe from somebody who's watched VJ quite a bit.
Are you down on like what? I like VJ a lot though. VJ's like
He just needs that consistency, but that's going to be the thing that either boosts him tremendously or really holds him back.
Yeah.
That's what it is to me.
I think that's the one thing there from VJ Edgecombe. But again, like, shooter, like, he has a good frame on him. He can hit a shot. I like the handle as well, too. So we're thinking Cooper, Dylan, Ace. I know there's someone else within there. I think I'm blanking on completely.
Trey Johnson.
Maybe Trey Johnson, and then VJ's the fifth guy, correct? I think that's.
I don't know. I think VJ's probably still better than Trey Johnson, but I think there is a bit of a fall off after the top 30 before you get to VJ. It's not like the full, like, all right, here's this section of this level of player, and then here's this one. I think it's like kind of like a half a step down.
Half step, okay. So Ace Bailey. Oh no, Karsperis. Jakuchonis, I think is his name. I may be butchering it completely. 6'6", 205 out of Illinois. Baller. Hooper, 6'6", freshman, 15, 5, and 4 with a steal. So I think he's going to be excellent. I think he's also going to be excellent. Another caller, again, 718-817-2750 on the line here. One and only Jack Warner on the line. Brother, how are we doing today?
Look, a Madi hosted show. I have to call
Stop it.
No way, I'm not. I'm missing out on that.
Stop it. I love you too, man.
We're in a car in the middle of Virginia right now. Lou and Will are both in the car with me. We're heading down for spring break, but I know you guys have moved on from Cooper Flagg. I just wanted to mention one thing because I do. In general, I am somebody who wishes that one and dones weren't such a common thing. Not only because I think we've had plenty of them not work out in the NBA, but also because I think it's a lot of schools that have to like redefine like their identity every year with a new class of kids, and I think that's really hard for a lot of schools to do. I think you even saw it with Kentucky. I think even Calipari in his last few years, and he's someone who had one and dones all throughout his career. But I think you noticed once he started losing like his core pieces year and year after year after year, it's really hard to build back from that and continue to try to keep producing a consistent top of the line product year in and year out. What I will say with Cooper Flagg though is there's no way in hell that there's any possibility that he sticks around at Duke for another year. As cool as I think that would be, it's not just the fact that he's been the most electrifying player in college basketball this year. Not even about the money those are pieces of the pie. Think about this, man. Before he came to Duke, he went viral for giving the U.S. men's Olympic team that belt in a exhibition game. I mean, this kid is electrifying, and I don't think that especially in the NBA, when you look at how defense has sort of laxed a bit. I think people often talk as a common critique about how the NBA is not as defensively minded as perhaps it once was in the past. When you look at a guy like Cooper Flagg, you guys mentioned, that it may not be one area of his game that you think he's absolutely excellent at. Maybe from a basketball standpoint, I maybe agree with you. But honestly, I do think there is one part of his game that he is unbelievable at, and it's athleticism. No one can really guard him. He's somebody who can shoot a quick pull-up jump shot, whether it's a three-pointer or a mid-range. He's somebody who can drive the lane like a big man and take somebody one-on-one and go to the hole and dunk. He's somebody that has so much athleticism that, I genuinely believe in the NBA where, yes, it's still pro basketball players, but, the defensive quality has dipped a little bit. I have so much stock in him just because of the way that he's able to not only score the ball, but just facilitate offense. But I just wanted to kind of throw that in there.
I like that, the athleticism at 6'9", though. Granted, there are guys at the same size who may or may not move a bit quicker, but if that's the one skill that we're looking at Cooper Flagg, I'm not against that. And again, as I said before, the offense will grow. Jack Warner, thank you for the perspective there. Again, Cooper Flagg, terrific player nonetheless, electrifying player from him. And that's going to do it, boys. A lot from college basketball and a lot to deliberate. The only thing that's going to be final is when the draft is near and dear when it comes. That's the only thing that we're going to have to sit and wait for. We'll go racing out of this break. FS is back. F1 is back this weekend. Bobby sat down with the author of the new Lewis Hamilton book, Sir Lewis. Stay tuned on the other side of this timeout. We'll be right back on One on One.